Next up, we've got Georgia and Georgia Tech. Georgia 13-point road favorites, 59 the total here in this game. This is a fascinating one because Georgia Tech, obviously the loss last week against Pitt. You can't start the game that poorly and expect to win. And it was pretty alarming to see just how bad things were out of the gate for Georgia Tech in that game. I mean, it was an avalanche. They couldn't stop Pitt, and then they turned it over, and they fueled the Pitt onslaught even more, and it was just ugly. Early in that game, it got away from them. They tried to make a run right before halftime, but then Pitt pulled pulled away again in the fourth quarter, losing 42-28. This defense has just collapsed. It's pretty stunning to see just how bad the defense has been 3 weeks in a row. C.J. Bailey and NC State roll up 48 points. Boston College, who have not been an offensive machine down the stretch, they put up 34 points and over 500 yards. So what has happened to Brent Key's defense? 42 points to Pitt last week. They have just struggled mightily on that side of the football. You got to think Gunnar Stockton and Georgia are going to move the football pretty effectively here in this game. Now, this is a rematch of last year where Georgia Tech had Georgia beat, it looked like, on multiple occasions, couldn't finish the deal, and Georgia survives with a 44-42 win in overtime over Georgia Tech. In that game, it was 27-27 going to overtime in that game. Now, interesting that 54 points in regulation. That game went over the total, but if it hadn't gone to overtime, the game probably would have stayed under the total. So just an interesting little fact about that. Massive revenge spot for Georgia Tech, but how it's even getting these points, I lean Georgia Tech, but how do you trust them to get stops right now against Georgia, or anybody for that matter? Like NC State, Boston College, and Pitt have just destroyed this defense 3 weeks in a row. I'd much prefer the over in this game because the one thing I will get from Georgia Tech, their offense is still somewhat capable. And with Haynes King playing his final game in the regular season for Georgia Tech. Now, I do want to mention this is a neutral field game. This is not on either campus in Athens or in Atlanta. This is at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, home of the Falcons. So it's a neutral field for this game. I'd probably much prefer looking over the total here in this game because Georgia's been an over machine. It's hard to, or Georgia Tech, I should say, has been an over machine, and it's been because their defense can't stop anything right now. So Georgia should get theirs. Georgia Tech can probably have enough success because don't forget how successful Georgia Tech was last year against Georgia, running that football against Georgia. They had a lot of success, 260 rushing yards, and Haynes King had over 300 passing yards. You know, it was a very impressive showing for Georgia Tech's offense. And I've said this about Georgia's defense this year. I don't think it's been as great start to finish as we've seen in the past. You know, they've had games where they've given up points as well. Tennessee, Ole Miss, Florida got into the 20s. They did do a good job against Texas in their last game. But like I said, that Georgia power run game really did some damage against them. So I like the over. I want to take Georgia Tech. I have a hard time doing it, though, with the state of that defense right now, which is just kind of in shambles at the moment.